There are so many note-taking and knowledge management tools out there that choosing the right one can be difficult. In this video, I wanted to compare and contrast 3 tools, Notion, Recall, and NotebookLM, so that you can decide which one could be right for you. I'll be covering the various approaches to note-taking, AI capabilities, knowledge retention, and the key differences for each one. Let's dive right in. Let's first start with an introduction to each tool. Notion is an all-in-one flexible workspace for notes, docs, databases, and project management. Recall is one self-organizing knowledge base where the content you consume, like YouTube, podcasts, PDFs, the notes you take, and the AI of your choice come together. NotebookLM is an AI-powered research assistant that lets you chat with and get insights from your own documents, web sources, and more. Let's go over the approach to note-taking. Notion is one of the most flexible in terms of note-taking. I can highlight my own notes. I can also embed items inside. There's a lot of options with the / commands. So you can see all kinds of things that you can add here. I could even add a table. I could add a database in here. There's really a lot you can do with how you edit a Notion page. And in general, pages are typically stored as part of a database, or you can also have nested pages inside. So if I were to be taking notes inside of here for each chapter, then it would become nested pages inside. In terms of saving your resources, Notion does have its own web clipper. I can just save a page directly to my Notion database this way. So then what that looks like is that you can see here that it's been saved in here. With Recall, adding your notes is also extremely flexible. So I can just click add, and let's say that I just want to create a note similar to Notion in that, let's say I just want to note about my habit journey. And then if I type / you can also see that I can add all kinds of block types here as well. I can also form connections easily with other parts of my Recall knowledge base. Create a connection this way. Let's say that I want to connect it to my habits here. Then I can click this and then I can keep typing in here. The other way to note take and add notes is that you can do it through the Chrome extension, and it's going to automatically create a summary for me, establish connections for me, and even create this kind of transcript of the video that I want to save. Once I do that, then if I go back home, it's immediately there for me, and it's just so easy to do. You can add all kinds of resources. You can see all of the options here. It's really one of the easiest note-taking experiences. In NotebookLM, when you want to take notes and store them, you can click Add Note. It's a less robust feature when you take notes. As you can see that there's no / commands to add. If I take a lot of notes here, then what I can do is then convert it as a source. I can also use the chat in order to save that to my note and keep them here. So if I now open that, I can also convert that to a source. But I would say that in general, NotebookLM is best if you store online sources or direct sources. So for example, I've stored the entire Atomic Habits book inside of here. You can also toggle which sources are actually being included. In general, the NotebookLM is tied to single topics. So if you want to do a focused research on a certain topic, NotebookLM is great for that. Another way you can add your notes is actually by attaching Google Docs. So here, if I click add sources, I can upload files, websites. I can also upload directly from my drive, which means that if I save my notes in Google Docs, then that's somewhere I can simply add them to my NotebookLM as a source, and also just simple copy text. Another option for saving sources into NotebookLM is to use a Chrome extension like this one, and then I can open that notebook. So if I go here, now you'll see that it's saved into my notebook. Next, let's go over the AI capabilities of each tool. In terms of the AI capabilities of Notion, it's a great way to summarize your notes or find key information. If I'm in my notes here about Atomic Habits, then I can go ahead and ask it, summarize my notes. It can also draft reports and also make changes into other parts of your workspace. Make tasks out of a note, you can do that as well. I can also have it analyze all of my resources and my workspace. So here, if I ask it, tell me some new tasks and resources I've added recently, then it's going to go through my task boards and workspace as a whole. So if you do need to have an all-in-one place, including project management, then Notion is a great choice for that. Notion AI can also connect to additional sources like your Google Calendar, Drive, and Gmail. So if you need additional context, that can be a good reason to use the AI features of Notion. It can also access the web and find information that way. One of the biggest features with the Recall 2.0 update is the agentic chat that you can have. And this allows you to chat with your entire knowledge base and the web at the same time. So you can see here. And a key feature of this is the fact that you can choose your model. So as you can see here, I can choose GPT, Claude, and so on here. So if I just choose Claude Opus 4.6, and let's say that I want to consolidate all of my research that I've done about AI in the recent time frame of the past couple months and also my own notes. And I can even add context by mentioning. So I could do technology/AI, which is what I have in my knowledge base, and then I can click enter. And now I can see my AI research consolidated here with various links to different sources that I've stored. And I can see the sources here as well. Now I can use the web feature by asking it to find additional sources about AI. Now you can see that it actually surfaced some sources that I could consider adding to my own knowledge base. And I can just click create cards for all 5 sources, which means that it now gets saved to my knowledge base. Another cool thing you can do is, let's say that I listened to a podcast with an AI expert and I want to know specifically at what timestamps the AI governance portion was mentioned. So if I type @AI, and the one that I want to reference is this one, the AI expert podcast that I listened to, and I can just ask it find the timestamp where AI governance is mentioned. And then if I just have that agentic chat go through it, then it's going to actually give me all of the timestamps. And now if I want to actually listen to that specific portion, I can click this blue button here with the exact timestamp, and I can actually listen to that exact spot where it's being discussed. And there's also now a listen feature that you can utilize. So if I click here, it's going to do text to speech. I can choose the voice. So you can see here all of the voices I can choose from. And I can also add a custom voice. If I really wanted to clone someone's voice that means a lot to me, like let's say if I wanted my mom's voice, I can do that. And then all that it would take is that she would need to start recording this voice and read this out, and then once I submit that, it's going to start utilizing it for me. NotebookLM has some really robust AI output features that I think are really unique. If you want to see what is available, you can see over here. So you can do things like audio overviews, where you can have this kind of podcast style audio generated, either a deep dive, brief, critique, debate, and you can even add like what the host should focus on. I've tried this out, and I think that the other cool thing is this interactive mode. So while the speakers are talking, I was actually able to add my own questions in between, and they started answering my questions in kind of a real-time way that I felt was really unique. You can also output things like videos and create video content from what you've stored here so that it's a unique video tailored to this topic. You can even do things like quizzes, data tables, and more. So you can generate those and see what that looks like. So for example, this one is a video I made about this particular topic. Here you can see a table that it created for me based on the content that I have stored here as my sources. The one downside to NotebookLM is the fact that it is contained to a single notebook. So if you are looking for an AI that would be able to read through everything that you have, it's built more for focused AI outputs instead of a generalized AI across your entire knowledge base. Next, let's go over the knowledge retention features. In terms of knowledge retention, I would say that Notion is on the more limited side, as you need to build these features out yourself. I can decide if I need to review certain sources, and then if I go to my review tab, I can review my notes, and then I can decide that I'm done reviewing them. The AI can also help you with knowledge retention as well. So if I go to my book summary here, let's say that I want it to generate a 10-question quiz for me, but it's not automatically going to start asking me these questions on a regular basis to make sure that I actually remember them. With Recall, there is a lot of built-in knowledge retention here. It utilizes spaced repetition so that you remember the topics that you actually save into your Recall knowledge base in regular cycles. So if I click Start Review, it's going to start. I'll be able to quiz myself on all the things that I've stored. In addition, if I were in here and I actually want a quiz based on this podcast only, I can click Generate Questions, and now what I can do is to use the reader, which is the original source, choose the number of questions, and then here you can see all kinds of question types that I can choose from multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank, short answer, matching, ordering, and flashcards, and also the difficulty level. And then I can just click generate the 5 questions, and now I could just start the quiz for this. And what's cool is that I can actually even share these quizzes with anyone. So if I click share challenge, I can add my name here and then share that challenge. I'll be making a quiz based on this exact video that you're watching now, so you can test your knowledge using Recall's quiz challenges. So be sure to check that in the description below. In terms of knowledge retention, you can ask the chat different questions about the sources to help you learn more information. So for example, what are the keys to maintaining habits? And it's going to read through the sources and then give me an answer based on that. So you can really utilize that knowledge base in that way. And it comes with the exact source, so you can actually see where it comes from, which is great for research. And also the flashcard feature, so I can generate flashcards about my topic here. I can also generate quizzes. So if you're trying to study and you have a lot of sources that you need to study from, putting them into NotebookLM can really help you to retain that knowledge. So here you can check out my habits flashcards, and then I can choose whether or not I got it right or not. If I didn't, then it's going to go to this pile here. And then you can also ask it to explain the answer for you. So it's very interactive in that sense. The habit quiz that it generated, this one is now in a multiple choice format. And if you feel like you're using too many sources, you can also pare them down by checking the ones that you only want to study from, so you can really have a tailored study experience. Next, let's talk about the visualization elements of each tool. So in terms of visualization in Notion, you can accomplish it through the AI image generation feature by typing /AI, and let's say if I wanted a diagram. But the main thing is that it's not going to create this graphical representation of connections between your notes that, let's say, other tools might be able to do. So here you can see the diagram that it created for me. Notion also does have a charts feature. So if I wanted to see my notes in a chart view, and I could do it sort of in a donut chart to see like what kinds of notes that I have stored in here. In terms of visualization, Recall has an amazing graph view. How that works is that you can see here all of these resources that I saved turn into nodes, and I can see the exact connection between them. So as you can see here, my artificial intelligence node is one of the biggest ones, which means that it has the most connections. If I click here, you can see all of the outbound connections and where it was referenced. What's also cool with Recall is that if I go ahead and now try to trace the way that things are connecting, I could trace my connections all the way from, let's say, the best way to build better habits. And I can click, for example, how that relates to my artificial intelligence node. And then I can click here to see the trace. So it's really cool to be able to actually follow the path between your nodes inside of Recall's graph view. So it's just a fun way to kind of go through your knowledge base and see what kinds of connections that you might find within your entire knowledge base. It's also really fun to try seeing your timeline and seeing all of these nodes pop up and see how your knowledge base has grown. You can do various groupings, layouts, and also appearance settings too, so you can really customize that. All of these connections are actually generated. We'll use the Chrome extension, and then you see all of the connections that it generates here. So in that sense, it's automated and you don't have to necessarily form those connections manually, but because it does it automatically, you get to sort of grow your knowledge base over time into this really cool visual graph. The other thing in terms of visualization is that there's augmented browsing with Recall. So let's say that I'm in this article and it automatically highlights words that I've seen before that appear in my knowledge base. So for example, Duke University, I can see that I actually stored this before, this connection here, which was an article on TechCrunch that I stored that actually connected to Duke University, which is why I see it here. So you can see 20 years ago, Duke University professor used artificial composite materials to make a real life invisibility cloak and so on. So this kind of interesting tidbits of information that pop up through the augmented browsing can also be like a very nice visual as you go and search and browse and read articles. NotebookLM is a really great tool for visualizing your notebooks. As I showed before with the AI outputs, there are things like video overviews, which creates explainer videos. You can generate reports, mind maps, infographics, data tables, and even slide decks. It's a very useful way to visualize what you have within the notebook. So for example, with this one, if I click, it's going to actually open things up, and it's a very interactive mind map, as you can see. Let's say that with Notion, the AI generation was very static, but this makes it a lot more interactive in that sense. With the mind map, it even explains more about the ones that you click. So I think that this is a really cool feature. Also, the table, as I showed, was also great for visualizing your information. But I think the one that's my favorite personally is the explainer video. I think that this is so cool that you can actually create a whole video out of all of the sources that you store here, so that it's your very own explainer video. When studying, I think it's really good that you have various ways of visualizing so that different parts of your mind get activated, and I think that's something that I really like about NotebookLM. So which one could be right for you? If you're a student or researcher, I think NotebookLM is great because it pulls from sources that you store directly. Great for deep focus work on a specific topic with all of your sources in one place. If you need an all-in-one space, including team project management, then Notion could be right for you. The flexibility to build a custom workspace for your notes, tasks, databases, and teams is unmatched. If you're a lifelong learner, Recall could be perfect for you, especially with the 2.0 update. It's one of the most powerful tools for saving anything that you consume, connecting it over time, and actually putting it to use with the agentic AI. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in trying out Recall, who's the sponsor of today's video, be sure to check out the link in the description. If you want to give it a try, use my code ORGANIZE25 for 25% off on all plans. I think all three tools can be useful in their own ways, and in some cases, it could even make sense to use all of them. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I hope to see you all in the next video.